This is the story of the Promised Land of Taris, Part 3. In the canon ending of Knights of the Old Republic, Revan and his companions aid Rakhghoul and the outcasts of Taris to find the Promised Land journals and aid them in their quest before leaving them to their journey. However, no word of the outcasts or their fate is given until 1300 some odd years later if you play a Republic character in Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Thank you once again, Upworlder. I will say a final goodbye. For where we are going, I fear you cannot come. The journey to the Promised Land is long and arduous.
As we head to the surface of Taris, it becomes apparent there's a lot more green visible from space, which means that in the wake of the bombardment, maybe nature has taken hold once more. Now, as we do get into the spaceport, it becomes abundantly clear that the Republic's occupancy is somewhat militant in nature. And as we head down the first elevator, we see a janitor on their hands and knees cleaning up some green, sludge-like biological goo. It's then that we're greeted by Governor Suresh with a welcome message to newcomers.
Welcome to Taris. I'm Governor Suresh. On behalf of the Galactic Republic, I want to thank you for joining us in this historic project. For your safety, please do not travel beyond the military-secured safe zone outside the settlement. This world and our work here will shine as a beacon of hope to all of the Republic. But first, we have many obstacles to overcome. Together, we stand taller than any obstacle. Let's get to work. Together.
And with that, we grab a speeder and head to Waypoint Station Morn.
Greetings. You are cleared for the following travel.
It becomes quickly abundant how much nature has taken back Taris. There's a codex entry that gives you more information saying Taris was once a city world like Coruscant. 3 centuries ago, however, it was bombarded by the Sith Lord Darth Malak and left a toxic ruin. So this green is toxicity, which is not good. The years since have not been kind to Taris, as vegetation and animal life struggle to gain a foothold in the shattered skeleton of a planetary metropolis. The Republic began to recolonize Taris less than a decade ago, and has suffered innumerable setbacks. Everything from pirate attacks to the strange Rakhghoul plague. Nonetheless, the construction effort continues, its proponents determined to prove that the Empire can never truly destroy greatness. So, the Republic attempts to bring a beacon of hope and recolonize the once great Taris, though it seems like, fighting a Rakhghoul plague, which if you're scratched or bitten, they are going to turn you and double the numbers. It seems like an effort in vain, but it makes sense why they have such a strong military presence. Now, as we head to Waypoint Station Morn, you can talk to the Republic historian, Rakhghoul.
Would you like a chance to be part of one of the great mysteries of the Republic's past? We have irrefutable proof that Revan once sheltered here, soon after returning to the Republic from the Sith. There are many tales of how Revan rescued Bastila Shan and changed galactic history, but there were smaller lives touched as well.
Get to the point, or get out of my sight.
I am Rakhghoul, historian from the Galactic Library on Coruscant. I am undertaking one of the most important historical research projects of our lifetime.
I don't have time for stories.
Ah, but surely you have time to take part in one of the greatest projects of our lifetime?
You're talking like these are people I should know about.
Revan, the great Jedi General of the Mandalorian Wars, who turned to the dark side but was brought back to the light by Master Bastila Shan? Shameful. This is why the galaxy needs research like mine, to bring history to life for its people. 300 years ago, the outcasts of Taris lived deep below the city, where the Rakhghoul plague originated. Revan's journals record bringing them a cure for the plague and leading them to the secure colony called the Promised Land. Yet we don't know if they survived.
Do you really think this is of any interest to me?
Those who do not understand history cannot learn from its disasters.
This place is a toxic wasteland. There's no way anyone survived.
Then what killed them? And what might that teach us about Taris? If you are braving the wilderness anyway, keep your eyes open.
Are you asking me to look for a lost colony from 300 years ago?
Or any sign of what became of them. My assistant is coordinating excavations. Anything you find, bring to him. Perhaps these promised ones left some record, something to talk to us across the ages.
So Republic historian Rakhghoul has asked you to venture into the underground transport station 5 and search for the lost recordings of the ancient Tarisians He believes that these recordings will be key to finding out what happened to Taris' survivors and its legendary promised land. It seems like the Republic wants to learn from history, which, I mean, if you've got a Rakhghoul plague, that's probably smart. As we head into the Transport Station 5, it becomes apparent that we ourselves are going to have to fight through many a Rakhghoul to get to these cans. Heading into the first tunnel, the can appears to be on what is an ancient train track of some sort, but it is surrounded by lurking Rakhghouls protecting it. So we take care of the Rakhghouls and check out the can's holo recording.
We are saved. An Upworlder has restored to us the work of my grandfathers. At last, we have a place to escape this oppressive city and the laws that keep us beneath it. A place where we can breathe.
So it seems that Rakhghoul and his peoples did find the fabled promised land. However, at the end of the message, there is what seems to be an explosion and is a little bit foreboding in and of itself. So we head deeper into the caverns looking for the second can to hopefully piece together the puzzle. As we head to the second can, it's clear that these transport stations have been previously occupied, and unfortunately there are infected. The Rakhghoul plague acts a lot like a zombie plague, and you can see people who haven't quite turned but have actually been infected and seem to have lost their mind. Now, a couple of these hunters have come down for the same reason that I have, to try and get the spoils, but unfortunately they weren't so lucky. After taking out the looters, we spy the second can.
This will be no secret to anyone listening, but Taris has been attacked. The upper and lower city were destroyed. We have found the promised land, but have nowhere to return to. If only we had arrived sooner. The promised land is the original Taris colony site. It was sheltered from the direct bombardment, but the quakes have destroyed every building and generator left. We must start again from scratch, but at least we have survived. The Rakhghouls are still feeding on the dead, but when the meat is gone, they will begin to hunt.
So Rakhghoul has a win-lose scenario. The win is they made it to the promised land and his people have survived. The lose is due to the bombardment that they've lost basically all access to technology, and the Rakhghouls are feeding on the dead. It's only a matter of time until they come for the outcasts themselves. Will they be able to defend themselves? Again, they're luckier than those on the surface of Taris in the upper levels. Their fate is remained to be seen. Now, we head to a large open cave with this gorgeous light that is penetrating. After dispatching the Rakhghouls, and one particularly nasty, brutish tunnel Rakhghoul, which is an elite, we find out more of the fate of the outcasts in the third can.
We mourn today for Rakhghoul, who brought us out of the Undercity and into the Promised Land. We have sent scouts throughout Taris and can find no other survivors. They cast us out and bar their doors to us. But now we bury our dead in the ashes of their skyscrapers. As Rakhghoul told us, it is not an easy life. Our children will grow up in a world of spears and bows, not blasters and starships. It is my burden to preserve our memories. Once we were outcasts. Once we were the promised ones. Now we are Taris.
So Survivor Boral lets us know the fate of Rakhghoul. He has since passed on, and it's her burden to take on the knowledge and teach the children. There is something interesting by the fact that her accent has changed. Now, this could be just she has a different accent, or maybe as time goes on, the accent starts to warp. As she said, they are the new Taris. They have bows instead of blasters and no starships, so very much more primitive, and it looks like they're learning through word of mouth and things are being passed on, but the ever-looming Rakhghoul plague doesn't seem to have abated, though we won't know more about her peoples and their blights until we find the fourth cairn. Heading into a large green and open area, it becomes apparent that the Imperials have sent recon scouting troops in to deal with the Rakhghouls. Maybe they too are trying to find the fate of the Promised Ones, looting, but it's not just Republic forces that are trying to take back the planet. For the Republic, it's a huge symbol of hope if they retake Taris, so what better way to crush that hope than to send in the Imperials, or at the very least loot the planet's resources, find out about their past before the Republic can. To dealing with the Empire's troops, we find a datachron up on a platform that gives you... we find a datachron on the platform which helps improve one's mastery attributes, which is a nice little find, so we're going to take that. Jump down and deal with the savage tunnel Rakhghouls and the lurking Rakhghouls to get to the fourth cairn.
The Rakhghouls are breeding back in the Undercity. They reproduced only by infecting us. But now, there are more every day. We lose people to them, a few every year. But only as meat. The serum the Upworlder brought us has held true. We do not sicken. But now the serum is gone. We have had 4 infants born who could not be immunized. All boys. We will not be able to protect them forever. We need our full strength to defend the tribe. Maybe the immunity was inherited. Maybe we do not need to worry that a bite, a scratch, will turn our children against us. Maybe I do not need to fear for my son.
So a few things have been made clear by Baral, and the first is that the serum which Revan had given to the outcast previously had been used by the generations to stop being infected and the Rakhghoul plague from taking over. Now, Baral has hoped that maybe the immunization is something that's passed on genetically, but she's also finding out a couple of new things. The Rakhghoul plague is just getting worse, and also that all of the children born were only boys, which is going to be bad if your tribe is getting smaller and smaller and you need to breed to survive. So they're in a little bit of hot water. We also pick up a codec, and it says the Promised Ones were the descendants of a small group of outcasts who fled the Undercity for a self-sustaining underground colony known as the Promised Land. There, they escaped the bombardment that decimated the surface of the planet and survived for many generations. As the centuries passed, however, the small tribe slowly lost members to Rakhghoul, starvation, and radiation poisoning until they eventually died out completely. As a legacy, they left behind a series of holo recordings documenting their brave struggle. And so, the sad realization that maybe the serum blocked not only the Rakhghoul serum but radiation could be possible, but it's clear that unfortunately the Promised Land, even though it did abate a fate of just being blown to hell, for some time, over generations, the Rakhghoul plague and the radiation finally is starting to take hold and wipe out the rest of the survivors, the Tarisians, the Promised Ones. As we head through back into the transport station, we encounter some more infected around Light and what appears to be one of the final cairns.
I am Kuki, 14th Keeper of Memories after Rakhghoul. We now number 53 adults and 21 children. We lost 4 abled bodies and 2 child bearers to the Rakhghoul virus this year. Our records say there used to be a cure. We have lost so much. Tomorrow, we leave to search for higher ground. Plants are growing. Nature has reclaimed what once belonged to men. Nature is cruel. 2 of every 3 of our babies die to sickness and hunger. If we are to live, We must rebuild our walls.
So, many generations have passed. Kuki has outlined that not only are the Rakhghoul plague closing in, not only is nature itself taking back the land, and there's also radiation, but now sickness and hunger start to set in. And even though there's 70 odd left of them, it's only a matter of time before one of these blights take down the rest of the village. As we head back outside and take out the ghastly tunnel Rakhghoul, we approach the final cairn to find out the harrowing fate of the Promised Ones.
I am the memory. I have Rakhghoul's descriptions. I know there was a city once. I know a city is many houses, many people. I am the only one. Now, there is just us. We have stopped having children. The old records say it is from toxic radiation. We once called this the Promised Land. It was a lie. It is our grave.
And Lur, obviously, was far less educated than her predecessors. She barely knew what a city was, let alone toxic radiation, which had plagued her people and ultimately wiped them out. Now, before we do head back, we can actually do a little bit of a bonus mission. There's an abandoned weapons cache, which is guarded by a monstrous tunnel Rakhghoul, which is a nice, fun fight. Killing the tunnel Rakhghoul yields monstrous Rakhghoul fangs, which will be used for the bonus quest. And with the final cairn, we have to report to Ashwin Tejera about the chilling conclusion for the Promised Ones. We head back to the Republic resettlement zone to Ashwin Tejera to let them know the grisly fate of the former Tarisians, and hopefully they can avoid it for themselves.
Your supervisor sent me. I found out what happened to your Promised Ones. There's no happy ending.
I knew they couldn't have disappeared without a trace. Give me what you found. Let us learn the history of this doomed planet so we don't repeat it.
And with that, Ashwin hopefully uses this knowledge for the betterment of the Republic, though it's pretty clear that the Rakhghoul plague, coupled with the inhospitable land covered in radiation, is something that is going to be very, very difficult. It almost seems like folly for the Republic to try re-inhabit this planet. If anything, the more bodies on the ground, the more potential Rakhghouls or outbreak can happen. And also just the cleanup in general, adding a city, radiation is hard to clean up. It seems like desperation and resources thrown at something that is better left as a reminder to future generations. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this story and the horrible, chilling outcome for the poor Promised Ones. In KOTOR, I actually hoped that if you choose the light side that they get a happy ending, but it seems that there's no happy endings on Taris. If there are any more stories that you want me to cover in KOTOR or SWTOR, or any other game that really has a nice meaty storyline, as I've just delved into Red Dead Redemption, make sure to let me know in the comments below. But until then, I shall see you next time.